So very good morning to all of you. It's a warm welcome to this session on building a $1 trillion Uttar Pradesh by 2027. It is my pleasure to welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Durga Shankar Mishra ji, the Chief Secretary of UP. CII has had the privilege of working with Shri Durga Shankar Mishra ji during the recently concluded Uttar Pradesh Global Investor Summit. And I must say the way he led the entire project of GIS by going to multiple countries, multiple cities across the country, I think it was commendable. And UP achieved the highest ever commitment of 34 lakh crores of investment under his leadership. We will also be having the Honorable Cabinet Minister of Urban Development and Energy, Shri A.K. Sharma ji, who will join us shortly, maybe in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Under the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Yogi Adityanath ji, Uttar Pradesh is transforming to fulfill and become a $1 trillion economy and fulfill the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of India becoming a $5 trillion economy. Because if Uttar Pradesh doesn't become a $1 trillion economy, I think the milestone of India reaching a $5 trillion economy, is not as easy. I spoke about the Global Investor Summit, and I would like to say about the summit that there are two things which industry typically looks forward to. The first transformed in terms of becoming or has really gone up in the rankings, becoming one of the top states in ease of doing business. And some of the government's incentives and programs such as the Nivesh Mitra, it's a very effective single window clearance platform. And I'd like to compliment the state government for it. So as the government has got the commitments of 34 lakh crores, there are a few steps, sir, on behalf of CII that we would like to recommend going forward, which could be incorporated to make sure that these investments take off and actually happen in a very seamless manner. The first step is to make sure that the money committed actually starts resulting and progress happens on ground. And for that, CII's first recommendation. CII's first recommendation for getting these investments on ground is to create a task force chaired by the Honorable CM for the top 100 projects to try and see what the issues may be and facilitate land availability, land use conversion for some of these projects and ensure the committed benefits as per the MOUs to the investors. Some of these projects can't be expedited further. One of the key challenges that we hear of as CII is the availability of land. The government has done extensive work in terms of coming up with multiple industrial clusters, industrial corridors, and maybe if the clearances at some of these corridors could be expedited. Especially from the warehousing and logistics sector, we hear of some challenges here. We'll be happy to work jointly with you to bring this forward. The second aspect is conversion of land from agricultural to non-agricultural land. Sir, I can tell you our own experience. We have invested over 1,500 crores in the state of Uttar Pradesh during the current dispensation over the last 5 years. And the progress has been commendable. We have become, JK Cement has become the second largest cement producer in Uttar Pradesh. But somewhere maybe the conversion of land from agricultural to non-agricultural could be done in a faster manner at the ground level to make sure that investment can be expedited. The second aspect is around implementation of policies. Today, I think Uttar Pradesh has some of the most forward-looking policies. In fact, the subsidy policy of Uttar Pradesh, I say to everyone I meet, it is one of the best investment policies across all the states in the country. In fact, some of the sectoral specific policies you have come up with, there are over 25 specific sectoral policies based on Uttar Pradesh's let's say advantages like the dairy sector, the IT policy and so on, which have been commendable. The only recommendation here is if there is a possibility to further expedite the dispersal of subsidies and also to facilitate maybe some of the letter of comforts that could be given to some of these industries that have committed their investment. My third aspect, sir, is around transition from ease of doing business to pleasure of doing business. I think, sir, ease of doing business has happened in UP. Now we have to move to pleasure of doing business. So, in this step, maybe we can move towards self-certification wherever feasible, and obviously penalizing industries which are misusing any self-certification norms which the government gives, time-bound and deemed approvals as and where possible, decriminalizing economic and business-facing state laws, and setting up an interministerial task force with industry representation to reduce the regulatory framework. In fact, we at CII will be very happy to also join in case we can give further suggestions and the government comes up with a task force to reduce the various compliances for industry. Sir, the government of India has come up with multiple free trade agreements to boost exports. In fact, we have seen FTAs with multiple countries across the globe. However, some of the MSMEs are still not aware of the benefits that may accrue to them if they utilize these FTAs to the fullest. And along with the state government, if we can have awareness sessions for MSMEs that these are the possible gains that the FTAs can give you, we can definitely boost further investment in UP and lead to higher exports coming from industries from UP. The fifth aspect is around sustainability. The government of India, under the Honorable Prime Minister, has committed to net zero by 2070. And it's important that every industry and every state works on the sustainability journey. If there is a possibility that the state government could consider setting up a specialized institution for financing climate initiatives of the industry, the institution should have the requisite expertise and bring out innovative products, including takeout financing, viability gap funding, credit enhancement, etc. And special schemes, again, to be designed for MSMEs, which are the backbone of the economy. And lastly, around privatization and asset monetization. So, I think, from day one, the Prime Minister has mentioned minimum government and maximum governance. And there are still some resources of the state government that could be monetized in terms of which would improve the productivity of these assets and lead to some money some further monetization in the hands of the state government, which could help in further infrastructure creation. In fact, the government of India is providing an interest-free 50-year loan ranging from 33% to 100% of the amount realized by states through asset monetization. So there is definitely an opportunity to identify assets and leverage things here. So lastly, I will just say that UP is on a transformation journey. The only bit which probably needs to be continued to work on is on brand UP. Sir, there was a legacy perception, but I would say over the last few years, that perception has changed. But it's important that we continue to build on the brand that we have created, to be able to realize this $1 trillion economy. And this can happen by continuing to share some of the success stories of investments in the state and continue to showcase some of these policies which we at CII will be very happy to continue to work with the government to leverage this and spread the word across the country on this. And we are with you, sir, in terms of making Uttar Pradesh a $1 trillion economy. So thank you. Thank you. Sir, I would, without further ado, I'd request you to share your thoughts on the way forward. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you. Mr. Akash, Madhav, Prashant, and all the friends sitting in front of me. मैं आप सबसे हिंदी में बात करूंगा. मैं हर मंच पे हिंदी में ही बात करता हूं क्योंकि मैं आई फील प्राउड ये हमारे देश की मातृभाषा है और जहाँ पे लोग समझ सकते हैं वहाँ मैं अंग्रेजी का प्रयोग क्यों करूं. अभी माधव जी ने हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश की अर्थव्यवस्था को $1 ट्रिलियन इकॉनमी की तरफ बढ़ने के कदम को सराहा. उन्होंने बताया कि किस प्रकार से ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट जो फरवरी 2023 में आयोजित की गई थी उसकी गूंज अभी भी पूरे देश में, पूरे दुनिया में उसको लोगों को आभास हो रहा है. ये जो 2023 फरवरी में ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट हुई उसके पीछे बहुत बड़ी तैयारी थी. वो हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का एक विज़न कि जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पूरे देश को $5 ट्रिलियन इकॉनमी करने का एक लक्ष्य रखा तो उस लक्ष्य को हम पूरा करने के लिए उसका 20%, एक 1/5 उत्तर प्रदेश उसको देगा. इसके तरफ माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने एक संकल्प लिया और संकल्प को पूरा करने के लिए बहुत सारी एक इकोसिस्टम तैयार किया. आपको पता होगा कि आज उत्तर प्रदेश की इकॉनमी करीब 270-280 बिलियन डॉलर की इकॉनमी है. $1 ट्रिलियन पहुंचाना यानी उसको लगभग 4 गुना बढ़ाना, ऐसा दुनिया में कहीं बहुत कम जगह हुआ होगा. लेकिन वो करने के लिए हम सारे के सारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के उनके नेतृत्व में संकल्पित हैं और उसको उसकी तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं. आपको पता है कि उत्तर प्रदेश पूरे देश का एक फूड बाउल है. यहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा अनाज पैदा होता है, सबसे ज़्यादा दूध पैदा होता है, सबसे ज़्यादा चीनी यहाँ पे बनती है. अगर आप फलों को, सब्जियों को ले तो वहाँ भी हमारी बहुत प्रोडक्शन होता है. लेकिन हम फूड बाउल तो हैं ही क्योंकि हमारे पास गंगा, जमुना, सरजू जो तमाम सारी नदियों का जाल है, इतना उपजाऊ ज़मीन है, इतना बेहतर हमारे पास जो नेचर का दिया हुआ एक ट्रांजिशन है. हमारा 6 ऋतुएं जो हमारी संस्कृति में है, 6 ऋतुएं, वो सारी की सारी 6 ऋतु अगर पूरे देश में कहीं किसी प्रदेश में अगर हो सकती हैं तो आप उसे उत्तर प्रदेश में महसूस कर सकते हैं. सारी 6 ऋतु होती हैं और 6 ऋतु के हिसाब से सारा का सारा पैदावार होती है. तो वो तो हमें प्रकृति ने दे रखा है और उसको हम बहुत तेजी से और आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं. चाहे वो हमारे अनाज के बारे में हो, जो श्रीयन्न सुपर फूड्स है उसके बारे में हो, चाहे वो हॉर्टिकल्चर के बारे में हो, फ्लोरिकल्चर के बारे में हो, फ्रूट्स के बारे में हो. काफ़ी अगर आप देखें, मैं बहुत समय नहीं है, मुझे 11 बजे एक कार्यक्रम के लिए निकलना पड़ेगा. अगर आप देखें तो इतनी वैरायटी और उससे बहुत तेजी से उसका विकास हो रहा है क्योंकि हमारे किसान को उसे समृद्ध करने के लिए उत्तर प्रदेश बहुत तेजी से लगा है. अगर आप देखें पिछले 6 सालों में जो एक नहरों का विकास हुआ, ऐसी नहरें जो नहीं थी, जो आधी अधूरी पड़ी हुई थी, उन नहरों को पूरा किया गया, उनको सिंचाई के साधन दिए गए, उनके लिए उर्वरक की सुविधा. आज के डेट में जो नेचुरल फार्मिंग पूरे देश में एक प्राकृतिक खेती, उसके लिए पूरा का पूरा व्यवस्था की गई ताकि हमारे किसान आगे बढ़े. जो किसानों के और जो हमारे आय के साधन है, चाहे पशुपालन है, डेयरी के बारे में, अभी आपने 2 दिन पहले नंद बाबा योजना के बारे में देखा होगा कि किस प्रकार से हमारे पशुपालकों के लिए एक नया योजना लागू की गई। फिशरीज के बारे में अभी आपने मत्स्य पालन के बारे में देखा होगा कि कैसे एक नई चीज, ऐसा कि हम तो दूध तो सबसे ज्यादा पैदा करते, हम दूध को एक फर्दर बहुत हाई लेवल पे ले जाना चाहते हैं। पोल्ट्री के बारे में हमारी जो नई पोल्ट्री की नीति आई, यानी पूरी की पूरी जो हमारी ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था है, उस ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था को मजबूत करने के लिए पूरे की पूरी कोशिश हो रही है। लेकिन साथ ही साथ फूड बाउल से हमारे प्रदेश का वो विकास नहीं हो सकता जो अपेक्षित। अगर $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी करना है तो $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी करने के लिए हमें वहां से जो हमारे ग्रामीण परिवेश से लोग हैं उन्हें शहर में लाना पड़ेगा, शहरों का तेजी से विकास करना पड़ेगा, और शहर को एक धुरी मानते हुए अब हमें एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाना पड़ेगा। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब यूपी फॉर यूपी। आपको मालूम है कि यूपी में हमारे करीब 24-25 करोड़ लोग रहते हैं, माने देश की आबादी का एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश में रहता है। अगर ये 25 करोड़ लोग रहते तो 25 करोड़ कंज्यूमर्स रहते हैं। उन कंज्यूमर को, उनके रिक्वायरमेंट को, उनकी जरूरतों को पूरा करना अपने आप में एक प्रोडक्शन का एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है, चुनौती है। लेकिन हम यूपी फॉर यूपी से संतुष्ट नहीं है, यूपी फॉर इंडिया। उत्तर प्रदेश न केवल अपने आप आत्मनिर्भर बनेगा हर चीजों में, बल्कि उत्तर प्रदेश अपने देश के भी जरूरतों को पूरा करेगा। हम चाहे पोल्ट्री के बारे में, हर चीज के बारे में अपना प्रोडक्शन लाइन हमारा ऐसा बनना चाहिए कि हम अपने देश को, और जो हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक लक्ष्य दिया, लोकल टू ग्लोबल, यूपी फॉर द वर्ल्ड, हम अपने प्रदेश से पैदावार करके दुनिया को दे सकें, और वो देने की तरफ हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। समय लगेगा लेकिन हम उसके तरफ से तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं। और वो हमारा ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट का जो एक संकल्प आया, जो इतना बड़ा 34 नहीं, अब तो हम 35.5 लाख करोड़ के हम टोटल इन्वेस्टमेंट के जो MOU साइन कर चुके हैं, वो जिस दिन ये पूरा होगा, और वो पूरा होगा क्योंकि उसके लिए पूरा का पूरा आपने बताया कि क्या क्या आवश्यकता है। बहुत अच्छा लगा आपने प्लेजर ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस की बात की। यस, वी विल ट्राई टू डू दैट, वर्क ऑन द प्लेजर ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में हम बहुत अच्छा कर ही रहे हैं। प्लेजर ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, अगर आप इसको और फर्दर ब्रेकअप करिए और बताइए कि क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, हम उसके ऊपर काम करेंगे। क्योंकि उत्तर प्रदेश आज एक पूरे एक्सप्रेशन के साथ, और इसके लिए जो माहौल तैयार किया गया, उसके पीछे इतना बड़ा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का, चाहे सड़क के बारे में, हिंदुस्तान के सबसे ज्यादा एक्सप्रेसवे उत्तर प्रदेश में, लेकिन और एक्सप्रेसवे हमारे बन रहे हैं, चाहे गंगा एक्सप्रेसवे हो, चाहे गोरखपुर लिंक हो, पूर्वांचल का जो बलिया लिंक हो, ये जो तमाम सारे हमारे बुंदेलखंड का जो झांसी का लिंक बन रहा है, बहुत सारे हमारे एक्सप्रेसवे और ये बन रहे हैं। नेशनल हाईवे का सबसे ज्यादा, जितना ज्यादा नेशनल हाईवे का हम एक्सपेंशन कर रहे हैं, लगातार भारत सरकार के नेशनल हाईवे के साथ संपर्क करके आज हमारा प्रयागराज का पूरा रिंग रोड बन रहा है। लखनऊ से लेकर प्रयागराज का जो हमारी रोड है, पूरी जो जहां ब्रेक है, वो सारा उसके ऊपर काम शुरू हो गया। ये प्रयागराज से लेकर अयोध्या का काम चालू हो गया। बहुत सारे हमारे पूरे रामगमन मार्ग के ऊपर जो है, बहुत सारे जो है नेशनल हाईवे के ऊपर काम हो रहा है, और तेजी से काम हो रहा है। क्योंकि हम उसके लिए जो भारत सरकार काम कर रही है, वो हम उसे अपना काम मानते हुए, अगर उसे लैंड के बारे में, उसके जो तमाम सारी यूटिलिटीज को शिफ्ट करना, हर चीज के बारे में उनकी पूरी मदद करते हैं, जिससे वो काम जल्दी से जल्दी पूरा हो। अगर आप उसको जो है ट्रेन के बारे में देखें तो सबसे ज्यादा डबलिंग का काम हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश में हुआ। फ्रीट कॉरिडोर का, ईस्टर्न फ्रीट कॉरिडोर, वेस्टर्न फ्रीट कॉरिडोर, दोनों कहीं भी हमें कोई दिक्कत होने की, अगर हमारे सामने होता, हम उनसे रेलवे मिनिस्ट्री से कहते हैं कि भाई आपका नहीं बल्कि मेरा काम है, आप बताइए कहीं दिक्कत हो रही है, उस दिक्कत को हम दूर करेंगे। ईस्टर्न फ्रीट कॉरिडोर का करीब 50% से ऊपर हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश में, वेस्टर्न फ्रीट कॉरिडोर का लगभग 10% हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश, और दोनों फ्रीट कॉरिडोर हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश में मिलता है। अब फ्रीट कॉरिडोर बनने का मतलब हम हमारा सीधा पूरब के हमारे जो पोर्ट है, पश्चिम का जो हमारा पोर्ट है, उस सीधे पोर्ट से हम उसकी सीधे से जुड़ा हो जाता है। और वही नहीं, जो देश का पहला, जो हमारा फर्स्ट वाटरवेज, नेशनल वाटरवेज बना, नंबर 1, बनारस से लेकर के हल्दिया तक, और उसको एक्सटेंड हो रहा भी प्रयागराज से लेकर हल्दिया तक, जिससे हम सीधे इस, जो कि आज नहीं, पहले तो ऐसे ही होता था, गंगा जी के साथ हम अपना पूरा का पूरा ट्रांसपोर्ट किया करते थे। तो जो नेशनल वाटरवेज नंबर 1 जैसे होता है, NH1 होता है, वैसे नेशनल वाटरवेज नंबर 1 वो उत्तर प्रदेश में उसका बनकर तैयार हुआ। हम सीधे आपका यहाँ से लेकर हल्दिया तक जुड़ गए। आपने अभी थोड़े दिन पहले सुना होगा कि जो सबसे बड़ा दुनिया का जो क्रूज है, वो बनारस से लेकर डिब्रूगढ़ तक पूरा का पूरा, कितने सारे, उसमें बांग्लादेश से तरफ से होता, वो पहला क्रूज दुनिया का वहां पे बना, और इतनी बड़ी शिप के साथ एक बहुत बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस था। आने वाले समय में अपने आप में एक नया टूरिज्म का रास्ता खोलेगा। अगर आप हवाई अड्डे की बात करें, हवाई अड्डे भी तो कानपुर वाले आप लोग हैं, कानपुर में भी आपने देखा होगा कि कानपुर का एयरपोर्ट अब कैसा नया बन गया। आने वाले समय में वहां पे फ्लाइट्स की संख्या कितनी बढ़ेगी। लखनऊ एयरपोर्ट बड़ा बनाया जा रहा है, यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी इतनी फ्लाइट्स है, फ्लाइट की संख्या बढ़ रही है। पहले तो उत्तर प्रदेश में कुल मिला के 2 ही एयरपोर्ट चला करते थे, बाकी ऐसे टेम्पोररी कभी कभी चला करते थे। आज 9 एयरपोर्ट चलते हैं, 80 से ज्यादा जगहों पे तमाम सारी फ्लाइट्स उत्तर प्रदेश जाती हैं। और वही नहीं, 5 हमारे एयरपोर्ट बहुत जल्दी बनकर के तैयार हो रहे हैं, बहुत दे आर इन द वर्ज ऑफ, वो हमारे रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी से जुड़ने वाले। 2 हमारे नए इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट बन रहे हैं, जो अयोध्या और यहाँ का जेवर का, 2 हमारे इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट बन। जेवर का इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट दुनिया का वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट एयरपोर्ट बनकर के तैयार हो रहा है। और ये हमारे जो बनकर के तैयार होंगे तो उत्तर प्रदेश में 5 इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट्स होंगे। हमारे नंबर ऑफ एयरपोर्ट्स आगे आने वाले समय में भी 9 से बढ़कर के 20 से ऊपर चले जाएंगे। जिस तेजी के साथ सब जगह उत्तर प्रदेश में काम चल रहा है, अगर आप मेट्रो का देखें, मेट्रो से पूरे शहर का एक पूरा का पूरा परसेप्शन शहर का बदल जाता है। आपका कानपुर शहर जहां से आप आते हैं, कानपुर शहर में मेट्रो चल रही है और अगली मेट्रो की जो लाइन है वो दिसंबर के पहले हम उद्घाटन भी कर देंगे। आगरा की मेट्रो की लाइन भी इस दिसंबर के पहले उद्घाटन हो जाएगी। मेरठ की में भी मेट्रो लाइन बन रही है। मेट्रो लाइन वो की पहले दुनिया का पहला एक्सपेरिमेंट है जिसमें आरआरटीएस और मेट्रो को साथ लेके चल रहे, और वो भी हमारा जो है, मैं समझता हूं कि जून तक, इसी महीने में या अगले महीने में हमारा पहला आरआरटीएस, जो हिंदुस्तान का पहला आरआरटीएस है, करीब 17 किलोमीटर, वो चालू हो जाएगा। पूरा का पूरा आरआरटीएस दिल्ली से मेरठ 35 मिनट में आप जा सकते हो, क्या सो सकते हो, कनेक्टिविटी एक्सप्रेस ट्रेन के माध्यम से आप चल सकते हो। ये पूरा का पूरा परसेप्शन उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में आपने बहुत अच्छी बात की, ब्रांड उत्तर प्रदेश का। ये हमारा ब्रांड उत्तर प्रदेश, कभी उत्तर प्रदेश में कानपुर को जाना जाता था हिंदुस्तान के वन ऑफ द टॉप इंडस्ट्रियलाइज सिटी के रूप में। बट आने वाले समय में बहुत सारे कारण हैं जिसको हमको गिनने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन बहुत सारे कारण हैं जिसकी वजह से कानपुर धीरे 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 पीछे चलता चला गया। आप सिंघानिया साहब, जो माधव जी जो है, आपका सिंघानिया का इतना बड़ा वहां पे कानपुर में योगदान था, लेकिन वो धीरे धीरे पीछे चलता चला गया। एक बार दोबारा उत्तर प्रदेश जग पड़ा है इंडस्ट्री के जो रास्ते पे। तो ये सारा का सारा एक माहौल तैयार किया गया, एक माहौल तैयार किया गया ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस का, ईज ऑफ डूइंग एक्सपोर्ट्स का। आपको ओडीओपी के माध्यम से हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स आज की डेट में करीब 1.75 लाख करोड़ का एक्सपोर्ट हमारा इस बार का जो आया है, उत्तर प्रदेश का एक्सपोर्ट आया, जो कि 5 साल पहले कुछ 88,000 करोड़ हुआ करता था, दूने से ज्यादा हो गया। इस तेजी से हमारा एक्सपोर्ट्स भी बढ़ा है। तो हमें न केवल अपने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को सुधार किया, ये दूसरा हमने जो पूरी ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को लोगों के एक अच्छा इकोसिस्टम तैयार किया, और तीसरा जो है पॉलिसीज के माध्यम से। आपने खुद भी बताया कि हिंदुस्तान की बेस्ट पॉलिसीज, मैंने सारी 25 पॉलिसीज, एक एक देश के हर राज्यों की क्या पॉलिसी उसको रिव्यू किया। रिव्यू करने के बाद हमारे लिए बेस्ट क्या हो सकता है, जो कि हमारे पास निवेशकों को लेकर के आएगा, ऐसी पॉलिसी तैयार की गई। और अभी आपने निवेश मित्र की बात की, निवेश मित्र से ऊपर उठ करके अभी हमने इन्वेस्ट यूपी 2.0 इसको लॉन्च किया है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के दौरान हमारा इन्वेस्ट यूपी 2.0 लॉन्च किया। और इन्वेस्ट यूपी 2.0 गिव्स यू नॉट ओनली ए निवेश मित्र जिसमें 500 से ज्यादा हमारी तमाम सारी सीमलेसली चीजें, सारे के सारे कार्य होते हैं, बल्कि उसके साथ ही साथ हमारे उस इन्वेस्ट यूपी 2.0 में जो हमने पॉलिसी में आपको, जो भी पॉलिसी के भीतर हमने आपको कमिट किया है, जो राज्य सरकार ने कमिट किया, उसको हम ऑनलाइन उसकी मॉनिटरिंग करेंगे, ऑनलाइन देखेंगे, इसका फॉलोअप ऑनलाइन करेंगे। आज हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश में उद्यमी मित्र 115 उद्यमी मित्र सेलेक्ट हो गए। दे आर ऑल MBAs एंड इंजीनियर्स, यंग यूथ, जो कि अच्छे कॉलेजेस से पढ़ करके अच्छे एक्सपीरियंस के साथ आए हुए। और उनको हम, जैसे कि आप कह रहे थे कि कैसे जो टॉप 100 की बात है, जो हमारे हाईएस्ट इन्वेस्टर्स है, सबके साथ लगा देंगे, ताकि उनके, आपका जो, अगर आप उत्तर प्रदेश में निवेश करना चाहते हैं तो आपकी समस्या हमारी समस्या है। लैंड की कोई दिक्कत नहीं। अभी मैं कल ही रिव्यू कर रहा था सारे के सारे, कल मैं शाम को रिव्यू किया सारे के सारे जितने भी हमारे डिपार्टमेंट है सबके साथ, कि आपके पास, क्योंकि एक माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने लक्ष्य रखा है कि हम पहला ग्लोबल अपना ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग सेरेमनी, जो ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट का ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग सेरेमनी, अब वो जो भी दिन तय होता है, बट दिवाली के पहले करेंगे। और उसमें एक अच्छी अच्छी खासी यहाँ पे ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग का मतलब कि वो सारे के सारे प्रोजेक्ट इस स्टेज पे आ जाएंगे कि वो ग्राउंड किए जा सकते हैं या ग्राउंड हो चुके होंगे। ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट की एक काफी बड़ी तादाद, इसके लिए कल ही मैं रिव्यू कर रहा था सारे डिपार्टमेंट के साथ, कहां कहां पे क्या दिक्कत है, कैसे दिक्कत है। तो ये ना समझे कि हमने ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के एक वन ऑफ इवेंट करके पूरा कर लिया, नहीं। ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के पीछे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी की पिछले 5 साल की पूरी तपस्या थी। 5 साल में उन्होंने जो काम किया, नहीं तो उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में कोई आना नहीं चाहता था। उत्तर प्रदेश की हालत यह थी कि उत्तर प्रदेश के नाम पे लोग भड़क जाते थे कि यहां पे तो कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट कर नहीं सकते, यहां तो सुरक्षा ही नहीं, आपका पैसा लाए, पैसा कोई छीन के लेके चला जाएगा। लोगों की फिरौती और तमाम किस्म के लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की इतनी बड़ी दिक्कतें थी। तो वो सारी की सारा एक अच्छा माहौल खड़ा किया गया, शांति व्यवस्था के लिए बहुत अच्छा, आपकी सुरक्षा के लिए। आज उत्तर प्रदेश के किसी भी इलाके में, किसी भी जिले का आप नाम ले लीजिए, मैं जानता हूं, मैं उत्तर प्रदेश में काफी समय मेरा उत्तर प्रदेश काडर का हूं। यहाँ पे तमाम सारे जगह लोग रात में अगर 9 बजे 10 बजे रेलवे स्टेशन पे पहुंचते थे, रात भर स्टेशन पे रुक जाते थे, इसलिए कि अगर कहीं गए तो उनका सामान छीन लिया जाएगा। उनके साथ क्या होगा ठिकाना नहीं है। सवेरे जब उजाला होता था उसके बाद वो अपने घर जाते थे। आज उत्तर प्रदेश में कभी भी कहीं भी किसी तरीके से आप जा सकते हैं, पूरी तरह से आप सुरक्षित हैं। ये बहुत बड़ा एक आपके लिए एक बहुत बड़ी एक माहौल खड़ा किया गया, और खड़ा करने के लिए 5 साल की तपस्या थी, जिसके बाद खड़ा किया गया। लेकिन उसके बाद उसे धरातल पर लाने के लिए उसी प्रकार से जिस मेहनत के साथ ये सारा तैयार किया गया, आज मुख्यमंत्री जी ने पीछे जीआईएस के बाद कई राउंड समीक्षा कर चुके माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी। हर एक डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर का जो एक टास्क फोर्स बन गया है, हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में टास्क फोर्स बन गया है। मैं जिलाधिकारियों की समीक्षा करता हूं कि आपके इतना सारा कमिट हुआ, इसके लिए कितनी जमीन की रिक्वायरमेंट है, कितने इंडस्ट्री से, अगर आप CII अगर आप अपने लोकल पार्टनर से बात करें, जनपदों में बात करिए, वहां पे इसका रिव्यू हो रहा है। क्योंकि हम उत्तर प्रदेश को बदलना चाहते हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश एक नया उत्तर प्रदेश, जो अमृत काल की बात एक कल्पना माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की है, ये अमृत काल जिसके लिए 15 अगस्त 2022 को लाल किले के प्राचीर से उन्होंने कहा कि अमृत काल की प्रथम बेला है, और ये बेला हमें अगले 25 साल के बाद देश को एक विकसित देश बनाएगी, विकसित देश की श्रेणी में खड़ा करेगी। हम कब तक विकासशील बने रहेंगे? वो 25 साल की जो यात्रा माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पूरे देश के लिए पिछले 9 सालों में जो तैयार की, उसके लिए एक कड़ी धुरी हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने उत्तर प्रदेश से पिछले 6 सालों से एक तेजी से इसको बढ़ता हुआ उत्तर प्रदेश, और हर क्षेत्र में, मैंने कहा ये ऐसा नहीं कि केवल इंडस्ट्री के बारे में, हमारा कृषि क्षेत्र भी उतना ही विकसित हो रहा है। लेकिन कृषि क्षेत्र से लोग अब आकर के स्किल होकर के यहाँ पे कंज्यूम होंगे। वहां पे जो अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट था, वो अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट खत्म होकर वहां पे लोग प्रॉपरली जितनी जरूरत है उतने लोग होंगे, और धीरे धीरे आकर के हमारी इंडस्ट्री, जब हमारा एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब उत्तर प्रदेश बनेगा, तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब में हमारे गांव और शहर एक दूसरे के समन्वय से काम करेंगे। वहां का उत्पाद यहाँ पे कंज्यूम होगा, वहां पे वो उत्पाद होगा जो यहाँ पे कंज्यूम हो सकता है, यहाँ की चीजें वहां से जुड़ेगी। ये सारा का सारा, ताकि वो उत्तर प्रदेश एक नया उत्तर प्रदेश होगा, और वो नया उत्तर प्रदेश विकसित, जैसे देश विकसित हो रहा है वैसे हमारा उत्तर प्रदेश विकसित होने के लिए आगे बढ़ रहा है। इसीलिए एक एक्सरसाइज हमने चालू की, कानपुर है 2047, लखनऊ है 2047। इस प्रकार की एक्सरसाइज कि हर कोई सोचे कि जब 2047 में जब भारत विकसित होगा तो हमारा प्रदेश कैसा होगा, हमारा जो है शहर कैसा होगा, हमारा गांव कैसा होगा। हर एक को इसके बारे में सोचेगा, तो सोचने से उसको पूरा करने की पूरी कोशिश करेगा। तो ये एक हमारा टीम इंडिया जैसे बात करते हैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, ये टीम उत्तर प्रदेश जिसमें आप सारे लोग हैं, और आप सबको माहौल खड़ा करना है कि जो एक कल्पना लेकर के चलने, एक विकसित उत्तर प्रदेश 2047 तक, एक बहुत सशक्त अर्थव्यवस्था 2047 तक लेकर चलने की व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं, और जिसका पहला लक्ष्य है अगले 5 साल में हमको $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी करने के लिए। उसके लिए पूरी की पूरी कोशिश जो यह उत्तर प्रदेश में माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में आज जो काम कर रहा है, उस काम के लिए जो आज आप लोग चर्चा करेंगे, मैं समझता हूँ बहुत उपयोगी चर्चा होगी। आपने कई सारी बातें बताई, मैंने उसको नोट किया, मैंने उसे नोट किया कि क्या क्या चीजें हम लोग कर सकते हैं, कैसे हम लोग कर सकते हैं। ये बात आप निश्चित मानकर चलिए कि आज उत्तर प्रदेश की ब्यूरोक्रेसी, उत्तर प्रदेश के जो सिविल सर्वेंट्स हैं, वो पूरी तरीके से माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के जो नेतृत्व में जिस प्रकार से तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, उसे लेकर के बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। आज आपको जानकर के खुशी होगी, पिछले 6 महीने के भीतर 22 नए विश्वविद्यालयों के लिए LOI जारी किए गए। 5 का तो एलओपी भी जारी हो गया, उनका जो काम चालू हो गया, अभी इस सेशन से एडमिशन करना चालू करेंगे। इस तेजी से काम हो रहा है उत्तर प्रदेश में, और वो हर क्षेत्र में हो रहा। मैंने आपको उदाहरण दिया, 1 डिस्ट्रिक्ट 1 मेडिकल कॉलेज, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में मेडिकल कॉलेज है। हमारे खाली 6 जिले रह गए जिनके बारे में भारत सरकार में हमारी अर्जी लगी हुई है, जिसको मैं लगातार फॉलो कर रहा हूं। हमारे हर डिवीजन हेडक्वार्टर पे यूनिवर्सिटीज बने, हम स्किलिंग के बारे हर तरीके से बने, एक ऑलराउंड एफर्ट कि हमारा उत्तर प्रदेश एक विकसित उत्तर प्रदेश में, उसके लिए कोशिश हो रही है, और उसके लिए मैं CII को धन्यवाद दूंगा। और हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी यहाँ पे आ गए, माननीय मंत्री जी को मैं स्वागत भी करता हूँ, अभिनंदन करता हूँ। और मुझे अब भागना होगा, बिकॉज 11 बजे हमारी एक माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी की बैठक, उसमें मुझे पहुंचना है। तो मैं आपके आगे की चर्चा के लिए आप सबको शुभकामनाएं भी देता हूं, अपने तरफ से धन्यवाद भी देता हूं CII को कि आप एक अच्छा पहल किए हुए। और जब भी आपको कुछ नई आइडिया है, प्लीज टेक टाइम फ्रॉम मी, आई एम ऑलवेज ओपन टू ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ गुड आइडियाज, एंड दैट इज न्यू उत्तर प्रदेश। आई एम ऑलवेज रेडी टू लर्न फ्रॉम यू एंड सी व्हाट वी कैन डू फॉर द बेस्ट फॉर माई स्टेट। ये अपने राज्य के लिए जो भी हम बेहतर से बेहतर कर सकते हैं, आपसे सीख करके हमारे लिए अच्छा होगा। आज के डिलीब्रेशन में भी जो नई बातें आए, जरूर आप उसको मुझसे शेयर करिएगा अलग से टाइम लेकर के। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप सबको बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन, धन्यवाद, जय हिंद।
तो आप लोग ने सबने सुना किस प्रकार हमारे जो मुख्य सचिव थे, उन्होंने उत्तर प्रदेश में जो सब बदलाव आ रहा है उसके बारे में कुछ चीज़ें शेयर की। इट इज़ अ प्लेजर फॉर अस टू वेलकम श्री A.K. शर्मा जी, द ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर फॉर अर्बन डेवलपमेंट एंड एनर्जी। In fact, Sharma ji, I must tell you, is one of the most dynamic bureaucrats of the Gujarat cadre. In fact, CII इनके साथ बहुत दशकों से काम कर रहा है इनके साथ. From the time when I believe the first investor summit was set up in Gujarat, Vibrant Gujarat Summit, वो इन्हीं के नेतृत्व में चालू हुआ था और आज ये उत्तर प्रदेश को एक तरह से इनके विभाग में बदल रहे हैं. So without saying much more, sir, I invite you to please share your thoughts.
How much time do we have? How much time do we have? Okay. Very good morning to all of you. Friends, you have heard our Chief Secretary talking, and as he said, I am also witnessing the same change which is happening in UP, and we are definitely on the right path of development. Since you have selected the topic of making $1 trillion economy, I'll focus myself on that only. Before we talk of UP's 1 trillion, we have to perhaps touch upon the 5 trillion target of our Honorable Prime Minister. And I have been part of that thinking also. I was working with Honorable Prime Minister, so I very closely seen those deliberations, those anxieties also, how do we reach to this target. I must say that to achieve anything big, first of all, you have to believe in yourself. We have to believe that it is achievable. We have to believe that it is doable. When Prime Minister talks about making India a $5 trillion economy in just few years. When Prime Minister talks about making India a developed country by 2047, when we celebrate our 100th year of independence, we have to, first of all, make ourselves believe into those thoughts and into those predictions and roadmaps. And all this, making a $5 trillion economy or making India a developed country by 2047, or for that matter, making UP a $1 trillion economy in next few years, it's all doable, my friends. I personally believe that if we all tighten our belts, if we all commit ourselves to this noble target, it can be achieved. Why I am saying it? There are various reasons, but I'll start with a historical reason. You must have heard India being a सोने की चिड़िया. सोने की चिड़िया सब तो सुना होगा, सबने सुना होगा. जहाँ डाल डाल पे बैठी थी सोने की चिड़िया, कैसे एक गीत भी है. It was actually a सोने की चिड़िया. You must, all of you have mobile phones in your hand. You can type. There is a British economist called Angus Madison, Angus Madison. Angus Madison on Indian economy. You can type and find what he says. He is a British economist. We, our forefathers, and many of us, particularly in those who have pride in India's past, particularly those in BJP and the Vichar Parivar, we all believe that, they all say that 5,000 years ago, India used to be world's largest economy, and it used to contribute around 25% of the global GDP. India's share in global GDP used to be around 25%, which is 1/4 of the global economy. Now, I have no documentary proof for that. So many of you can question that. How is Mr. Sharma saying that? Or how those who are talking about Sone Ki Chiriya, how can they prove? Because the young generation needs proof. That is why I said, please type Angus Madison on Indian economy on your mobile and see what he says. I have saved, while coming on the way, I was trying to save in my mobile. If you have found that page, I'll be happy. He says, the Google says, I could not go into more details of his work, but Google says, perhaps Wikipedia, it says, according to British economist Angus Madison, India's share of the world economy went from 24.4% in 1700 AD to 4.2% in 1950. Could you find it? मिल गया आप लोगों को? This is where we were. So 5,000 years, you forget, 1700 AD, 1700, this British economist says that India's share in the world economy was 24.4%. Where did we go wrong? We were already world's largest economy. We were already a developed country at that time. And I can give you the reasons why we were so. First reason is that mostly in those days, olden days, the economy used to be basically primarily an agrarian economy. We were a huge land mass with lot of agricultural strength, perennial rivers, 3-4 seasons to grow various crops and all that. So obviously our share in the world economy was very high. The same economist says two things went wrong in India. One, when the whole world industrialized, when the whole world was industrial, he also says that India's economy has declined during the Mughal period and particularly during the British period. And the reasons are very obvious, because they were not here to develop India. They were here to loot India, to plunder and to take away the resources which India used to have. British particularly, did this. They took our raw material and they fed their industrial revolution in the West, in the Britain. And India's decline started during those time after 1800. The same economist says that India not only did not catch up on industrialization, it went through a process of deindustrialization. He uses the word deindustrialization if you read his works. And this is also very understandable. Why did Gandhiji want to block Swadeshi, to block foreign goods? Why did he launch a movement of Swadeshi? Why did he attach so much importance to charkha? Charkha, a small instrument. He wanted that we, instead of buying and using foreign goods coming from British lands and who have actually fed their industrial revolution with our resources, our cotton, our raw material, our minerals. Why should we help them in progressing, and why should we help them in making economic growth? So that was the philosophy behind Gandhi and many of our freedom fighters launching a movement for Swadeshi. So this is how our share has declined. 1700, 24.4%, and 1950 when we became independent, it was around 4% as the economist says. And since then, perhaps we are hovering around the same figure. We could not catch up. Now, again, if I just to give you confidence on what I am saying, in India, in those days, or in olden days when we were children, many of you must be belonging to rural areas. I have seen two things working in villages. With my own eyes, I have seen. One is the earliest examples of mechanization in our system, in our economy, in our society was there used to be an instrument or a system called rahat. आप लोगों ने सुना है? किसी ने रहट सुना है? आपने कितने ने सुना है? Rahat, to fetch water from a well. It was powered by animal power, but there was a lot of mechanics involved into this. The bucket lined up in a chain will go deep into the well. Then the bucket will fill. It will turn, and it will come like this. And then again it will turn and pour water into whatever you have put there. Rahat was an example of mechanization in India. The second example I have seen with my own eyes was kolhu. Kolhu jo tel nikalne ke liye for taking out oil from the oil seeds. Kolhu aapne dekha hoga. Similarly, in those days, animal power was used for crushing even sugar cane. वो भी आपने देखा होगा. So all these were what? They were mechanical inventions in our society, and not today, thousands and thousands of years back. But unfortunately, since we are in the wrong hands at the time of transition, when the whole world went through a process of industrial revolution, when the whole world went through a process of industrialization, we were kept behind deliberately so that we could not catch up with the rest of the world. Or else, so you can argue even on this line that we were kept behind in the industrial revolution process so that our raw materials can be taken away to be used in the process of industrialization in the Western world. So this is where we could not catch up. We could not catch up with the fast mechanization, with the fast pace of modernization, which the whole world has done. And that is where our economy rested. Even today, we have not been able to achieve our own place in the global economy, which was 24-25%. So first of all, we have to believe that we have been a rich country. First of all, we have to believe that, and particularly the northern India, it must have been including, say, UP. Northern India, with its all season rivers with its many agricultural seasons and agroclimatic zones where you can grow any crop you whether it's vegetable, whether it's horticulture, whether it's food grains, anything which is eatable by human beings, it can be produced in, say, northern India, including the Uttar Pradesh. So obviously, the northern India or Uttar Pradesh was also a prime part of Indian economy, which used to have a prime place in the global economy. But we have fallen down. Now we have to reach there. We have to perhaps again make our place in the economy. And it's possible, friends. It's possible. In our language, people from BJP, in our language, it is mumkin. और खास करके जब मोदी है तो और भी मुमकिन है. So go from here with this belief that India can become a developed country. India can become a 5 trillion, not only 5 trillion but $10 trillion economy in very next few years. Similarly, UP can also become a $1 trillion economy in just few years. We have to reorganize ourselves. We have to rethink ourselves. For example, if we, in India, if we just do very simple things which our forefathers have taught us, the GDP of India can perhaps add many points into its growth. For example, if we start just saving water, will the GDP not be benefited? Yes or no? If we adopt, say, micro irrigation, instead of floating water all around for irrigating the fields, which the West did during this time, during these 300-400 years, which the West has done, they have started using micro irrigation techniques. Who is stopping us? And they are not very advanced science. They are very rudimentary things. If we start saving energy, if we start saving water, if we start taking care of the garbage which we throw out of our home. I am urban development minister. I know how difficult or how time-taking is the process of cleaning a city, keeping a city clean. Today, you might be witnessing a little different Lucknow, but I know how difficult it has been to come up to this level. It's still lot of way has to be gone. So, if we just decide that we will not throw garbage out of our home just like that, we will separate it, green and plastic and wet and dry and all that जो हम बता रहे हैं. So how will it benefit the economy? I will have to employ lesser people. My roads will be clean, hygiene will be better, people will not fall sick. All this adds to the GDP. Does it not add? It adds. So we have to start from very basics. I'm not here to teach you because you know the economy and the industry and the other things much better than I know. What we have to start with, if we have to achieve a $1 trillion economy in UP, if we have to achieve $5 trillion economy in India, if we want to make a resilient economy, if we want India to become a developed country by 2047, in just 24-25 years, we have to first of all change our own habits. We have to save water, we have to save electricity, because electricity saved is actually electricity generated. Thirdly, can we not use natural energy for powering and for energizing many things in our life? Did India not have buildings, today's green buildings, fashionable green buildings? Actually, in India, even in this Lucknow itself, you can go, there are many heritage buildings in Lucknow which were actually so well designed that they always used to be air conditioned. You never felt heat into them. So was this not an invention? All this is possible. So India has to first learn where our needs can be met without using any electricity, without using any power, without wasting any power, rather. How can we live our lives with that? And even there, India has been a pioneer. Indian lifestyle has been based on using the natural resources and using the wisdom which our forefathers have given for living with nature and then using the same for betterment of our lives. Now coming to the modern ways of development, which was perhaps presented also in the morning. We have to do a lot more than that, obviously. What I am saying that we have to start with the basics, but obviously we have to go much farther. And for that, as you might have heard, that many things, Chief Secretary also talked, many things are happening in India, many things are happening in UP also. Who had ever thought in India that we were 142nd rank in ease of doing business when Prime Minister Modi took over as Prime Minister? In 2014, I have been a witness of that situation. We worked on that very hard. Our rank in 2014 in global ranking of ease of doing business, which is done annually by World Bank, was 142nd. Today, with a lot of hard work by Honorable Prime Minister and his team, we are 63rd, somewhere in 60s, early 60s. So who had thought that we can make this progress? Who had thought that India would be a one taxation system country? Every municipality had its own system. Every naka, every road had its own. There was a naka which could stop you for collection of money. Sometimes valid, sometimes invalid people also used to run it. Legitimate and illegitimate. Both kinds of nakas which used to stop you, waste your energy, waste your time, and also exploit at many. Who had thought that we will have a one nation, one taxation system, one GST? Day before yesterday, I was sitting somewhere, and some forest officer was talking to me. He used the word, same pass will be valid for the entire country. I asked him, what is that? Even being a bureaucrat, I was curious to know that. He said, sir, for the first time in India's history, what we have done, UP, suppose you cut any tree, you cut any timber, you know how difficult it is to transport timber, because everywhere the forest people will, forest or police can harass you, and the punishment is very strong on that for cutting a protected say forest or protected tree. He said, and every step, like a vehicle, a policeman can stop you anywhere, RTO can stop you anywhere. He said, this timber which was cut, and secondly, why will you grow timber if you cannot cut it? So it is both ways not very healthy to stop it, but it was being stopped by every officer possible. He said, with intervention of our Honorable Prime Minister, now we have one nation, one forest pass. Not only in UP, not only a district of UP you can travel with your timber. It can pass through any state of the country, and no police officer is supposed to ask about that. So who had thought about this? This simplification of business, this ease of doing business, we had never imagined. When I joined the IAS in 1988, we have been struggling with all this, how to make things simple. Who had thought that your income tax refund will come in just like this? All this has happened in this country. So you can, another confidence which I want to give, that further simplification, further ease of doing business is on the way. Till Prime Minister Modi is there on the chair, I have full confidence in his vision, in his style of work, that further simplification of business is going to come in India. This is the time to do business in India. And I have been telling a lot of my friends, please don't think of going anywhere outside the country. Our country is becoming better day by day. We have to make it better day by day instead of going abroad. Please find a state, please find a place for yourself work with the state government, work with the local administration, and they are definitely much better systems, much better people are on the chair who will help you in doing business. So this is the second thing. First, we have to believe in our past. Second, we have to believe in our present. That our present has become much better than it was earlier. And Mr. Modi is there, Mr. Chief Minister or Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Yogi is there, whose ambition in life, whose ambition, vision for life is that they want to see a better India. Mr. Yogi wants to see a better UP with his own eyes. So this is the second confidence which I wanted to give. The third thing is that in the month of February, this very UP, as Chief Secretary also would have said, we signed close to 20,000 memorandums of understanding for investment in various sectors of UP, various districts of UP. Close to 33.5 lakh crores of rupees were promised to be invested. None of us, to be very honest, being a minister also of two important departments, even I had not imagined, envisaged that so much investment will pour in UP. But things have changed, the environment has changed, UP is changing, and as you might be saying also, if UP can change, India can change. We all know that, because UP was the most perhaps difficult nut to crack in India. And if UP can show this way, that we, and in 2 days of summit, Global Investors Summit, we signed 20,000 MOUs worth 33.5 lakh crore rupees, and CII was a partner into that. So no one is lying. It was all transparently available. You can check, you can verify. So if this can happen in UP, many more things can happen in UP also. These investments are coming in various districts, in various sectors, including, say, my own sector, renewable energy. I am since Minister of Energy also. We had just talked to a few investors in the RE sector, renewable energy sector. Please come, have a look at UP. Though our solar radiation is not very good, but please come, we will facilitate you in making investments. And you know, for your information, renewable energy sector was the highest in terms of any one sector attracting the investments in the Global Investor Summit. With little intervention, little interest which we were able to generate among the investors. So this is how things are changing. You might be aware also that Southeast Asia, after many companies and many countries burned their fingers in, say, China, many of their companies, they wanted and they are still wanting to withdraw. They are still wanting to find alternative locations. Then the immediate thing which perhaps comes in their mind is the Southeast Asia. It could be Vietnam, it could be Malaysia, it could be Singapore, or any of those nearby countries of China. But even there, they are saturated. I can tell you, I have visited many of those countries, and I can say they have no space. They are so tiny, they are so small. How can they accommodate all industries or major industries coming out of China? China being such a huge country, huge investments. So it is India's turn, it is India's time. And I would also request you, this is the fourth thing which I wanted to tell you, that each one of us, like I am talking about India, like I am talking about UP, each one of you has to become ambassador of India. Each one of you has to become ambassador of UP. We don't have to lie, we have to just put plain facts on the table. That, see, India was an industrialized country, India was a big economy, India was a thriving economy. UP was a thriving economic belt of India in those days. Please come here, we are here to help you. All sectors, we have signed MOUs, as Chief Secretary was saying, we are very rigorously monitoring them. We are very keen and committed that those investments are grounded on the ground. We are not leaving any stone unturned in making them fructify in much less time than expected. In the next few years, I can see UP to be perhaps the best state in India in terms of not only economic growth, but also in terms of social life, cultural life. Why I am saying this, I will explain to you. See, UP again is a place or a state which was characterized by two things. One is strong cultural heritage. Maybe whatever India is known for, whatever culturally India stands for, whatever culturally India is identified for, it is housed in UP, my friends. Whether it is legacy of Ram, Ayodhya is here. Whether it is legacy of Krishna, Mathura Vrindavan is here. Whether it is legacy of Shiva, Kashi, and many other places. So whatever India is known for, it starts, it originates, it emanates from UP. You can very safely and confidently say that. The second reason is that UP is a vast landscape. Had UP been a country, it would have been the fifth largest country in terms of population. Today, with its population, we are the fifth largest land mass in the entire world. So we have a huge market. We have a huge consumption market. We have a huge consumer market. And any producer, any industry looks for all these things. Thirdly, when we have the fifth largest manpower, when we have the fifth largest population of the world housed in UP, obviously we have more hands to work also, good hands to work also, talented people to work also. So in terms of availability of manpower, in terms of availability of hard-working manpower, skilled manpower, skilling has to be done. We have to skill our people. We have to teach them how to stand, how to talk, how to speak English, how to behave in an industrial environment, in an economic environment, and that is doable. We all have learned. I have myself studied in a village primary school, and I have come with God's grace all this way. So we have to train them, we have to prepare them to face the world, and that is doable. But the manpower is hard-working manpower who can stand on the floor mill, who can stand on the factory workplace for 18 hours, 20 hours at a stretch. You will not find such a hard-working population anywhere in the world. Not only in India, I'm talking of anywhere in the world. Southeast Asians used to be hard-working, but even their habits have been spoiled by now due to drinking and many other things. So this is our second strength. The third strength is that, as I said earlier, we have now realized UP has, for the first time in the biggest contribution of our Honorable Chief Minister, Yogi ji, for UP is, there are many contributions, but the two biggest contributions is, one is controlling the law and order situation, which is the starting place for attracting investments. And the second cultural shift, second paradigm shift he has brought is thinking of UP that industrialization, or say, see, when we were studying in the university, I am a product of Allahabad University, we had many communist friends, or say students with communist bent of mind. And what they used to do, they used to roam around in the university here and there, and they used to make people feel pride in poverty. गरीबी है तो कम्युनिज्म है तो उनकी चलती है, उनका झोला बस्तर चलता है. For the first time in UP, the Chief Minister and his team, including me, we have been trying to create a culture, create a belief, create a thinking that wealth generation, wealth creation is an important thing if you want your society to live properly and if you want the society to progress. Wealth generation was a stigma. Any wealthy person, he used to be looked at with contempt. ये तो चोर होगा, टैक्स चोरी किया होगा, ये चोरी किया होगा, वो चोरी किया होगा. Now that thinking is changing. I can see with my own eyes that thinking is changing. The third problem was, and that is also changing, that including myself, I'm not talking about others, including myself, we used to we used to prefer government jobs rather than, there are many people, I had many relatives when I was working in IAS, they used to come to me and say, भैया हमारे बेटे का जरा नौकरी का देख लो. Obviously that is a very genuine request, no problem. Then very silently कान में बोलते थे, कुछ खर्चा होगा तो हम कर देंगे. So many times I used to ask them कि कहाँ से लाओगे खर्चा? हमें तो जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन कहीं आप जब चले हो मार्केट में इस तरह की बात करने तो कहाँ से लाओगे? Since they were relatives, so freely I used to ask them. तो बोले खेत अपना बेच देंगे, थोड़ा लड़के का लग जाए. लड़के का कैसा नौकरी लगवाना चाहते थे? That also I will tell you. They wanted a चपरासी की नौकरी. They wanted a clerk की नौकरी किसी स्कूल में, किसी RTO ऑफिस में. For making his son, his brother, his sister, his daughter a clerk or a peon in any government establishment, they were ready to sell their hard-earned, traditional, ancestral property, either house or farm. So many times I used to wonder and I used to tell them कि अच्छा ठीक है, अब खेत बेचने से आपको कितना मिलेगा? तो 5 लाख तो मिल जाएगा. So up to 5 lakhs they were ready to give for a petty job of चपरासी, जिसको कभी भी मैनेजमेंट निकाल देता है स्कूल में भर्ती होने के बाद. And at that time, I'm talking 20 years back, at that time I used to tell them कि भैया वो 5 लाख रुपए से आप उसको एक दुकान खुलवा दो ना, एक पान की दुकान खुलवा दो, मिठाई की दुकान खुलवा दो, हलवाई की दुकान खुलवा दो, सिलाई की दुकान खुलवा दो. नहीं, दिस एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, उद्यमशीलता जिसको बोलते हैं, that was not available in UP. For the first time, Mr. Yogi has shown, his team has shown that there is entrepreneurship in UP. You will not believe, many of you might have participated in the Global Investors Summit. It was almost full of young people who were wanting to do this startup, this waste to energy product, that biofuel product, that health aggregation app, many ideas and many ventures, many startups. I have seen with my own eyes. So this is another shift which is happening in UP. And therefore, friends, with this shift taking in UP, law and order being controlled, encouragement for investment, looking at the investors with right approach, talking to them in right language, encouraging entrepreneurship, all this change which is happening in UP, I am very sure that $1 trillion economy is not a very difficult target. It's not very far. It's not a difficult target. We are already at close to 300 billion. So 3 times, perhaps we have to increase our pace of development. Obviously, we have to, as I said, we have to reduce our wastages. We have to encourage the investments. We have to encourage the investors. We have to view them with right approach, with right eye, and we have to encourage particularly our young generation who can foray, who can start projects and units in many fields, and particularly where we are going wrong, particularly say the crop residue which is being burnt and polluting the environment also. Many startups, they are coming in waste to energy. Many startups, they are coming to, in my own sector, urban sector, I have seen many projects being signed for recycling of urban waste, recycling of plastic, recycling of this and that. So all this, I'm very sure, will lead us to making a very strong economy in UP, and obviously that will contribute in making India a stronger economy. Another thing which I would mention and then close my talk is that first thing I said, you should not go abroad. Be in India. This is India's time. This is UP's time. The second thing, we have to also think what can be prevented from being imported in the country. I remember 2014 when Honorable Modi ji took over as Prime Minister. I was also appointed as Joint Secretary in Prime Minister's office. So under his instructions, we started taking review of what all is being imported in the country. And you will be surprised to know, when we looked at the Defense Ministry, many ministries we looked at, but I would talk about defense. Defense industry, they were importing close to 1,000 items. I'm not talking of Gola Babus and missiles and this thing. I'm talking about thousands of small items, like the dress for the army men, Sena ki Vardi, like the boot, the shoes of our soldiers, like the goggles, night vision, day vision, whatever. Many small things also were being imported. Around 300 such items out of those 1,000 items, we identified and we put our foot down. You might be aware, many of you, CII can certify that. We de-license, it is called de-licensing. Otherwise, Sena used to license those products and this country se, us country se mangana hai. We said no, it is no longer a defense item. We are hereby de-licensing it from being a defense item. It can be produced by anyone and the Sena has to shortlist from the best producer in the country and buy it. So this is how we encourage, we stopped imports and we encouraged, just now I was in Agra. I am also in charge Minister of Agra district. So I was talking to many leather manufacturers, leather industry people in Agra. They did certify, they did say that, sir, what you did during those days is benefiting us. Now we are supplying shoes to the army in India. So this is how import has to be minimized, import has to be reduced. The second thing, this is just an example, army is just an example. This must be happening in many other, it could be happening in railways, like the Vande Bharat Express, which Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated many in the series in last few years. This is a product of the same thought. Why should we only look at fast passenger trains in other countries? Why can't we produce a fast passenger train in India with our own resources, with our own technology, with our own people, and our own engineers, railway engineers, our own officers in the railway, our own workshops and the locomotive factories of railways, they have produced, it is entirely indigenously produced fast train of the country, Vande Bharat Express. So similarly, now we have to, and that is very relevant for all of you, we have to look at big things now. Now small things, we have like Corona also. Corona, even mask was not available, ventilators were not available, PP kits were not available, but it is the same industry which is sitting opposite me, all of you, put together in 6 months, you started producing. Once the call of the nation came, once the call of time came, we started producing. I was part of that process. During that time, I became MSME Secretary of Government of India. I have contributed in that process. We experimented this. You will not believe, this spray bottles of sanitizer. You might have seen the spray machine. It has a lot of components, small components which there is a spring, there is a dhakkan. All that, you will be surprised to know, I am telling a very interesting story. I was made Secretary MSME during the starting of the Corona, April 2020. And I was given a challenge that this spray bottle, it was in huge demand in India. And the supply was very less. So at that time, the bottles, particularly those upper portion of the motor system, it was being imported from China. I called the industry people. They said, sir, there are only 3 industries which make this in India. Some 2 in Haryana and 1 perhaps in Punjab, Patiala or somewhere. There is no 4th industry, there is no 4th unit in India to make this. And I realized that they were in terribly short supply. So obviously we had no choice but to import for some time from China. But then I called the laboratories of MSME ministry, gave them some money, around 20 crores. I asked them to, you go and make the dyes, you go and make the experiments, whatever you need to do, you do it. But I want this machine to be manufactured in India in next 1 month. And you will be surprised to know, you will be happy to know that our own MSMEs, our own laboratories, they came up with a indigenous this machine, and in 6 months we were net exporters of those spray machines. So this is the strength which we have. From that, I would now urge upon you that you look at bigger things. How can we compete with the biggest industries of the world? How can we compete with America? How can we compete with industries of China and Japan? Another example I'll give you. In Gujarat, this Suzuki came, they put a plant in Gujarat with invitation of Honorable Prime Minister when he was Chief Minister. I was working at that time in Gujarat. With my own eyes, I have seen this happening. We facilitated them in setting up their unit in Ahmedabad district. After they were set up, in 1 year, just 1 year, Mr. Suzuki of Japan, who is the owner of Suzuki Industries, he met the Chief Minister and he said that, sir, I want to give you a very good news. He said, we were all surprised. We were already happy that Suzuki is here in Gujarat. We were all very buoyant. He said that, no, there is a bigger news than that. The bigger news was that now I have stopped manufacturing Suzuki cars in Japan. I am exporting the Suzuki made in Gujarat to my own country, which is Japan. And they started exporting Gujarat-made Suzuki cars in various parts of the country. So this is the strength we have. This is the strength in our manpower. This is the strength in our system. So from there, I would urge upon you, in UP 2-3 very interesting things are happening. One is that you might be aware that we are setting up a defense industrial corridor in one of the backward regions, and you should have a look on that. You should invite your partners, foreign partners, to come and put up their units. Now we have to start producing bigger things. We have to, from Vardi and boot and goggle, we have to move to tanks and fighter jets and other bigger items of, say, defense, or bigger items of, say, solar energy. And it is again doable. So you have to look at our defense industrial corridor. The second thing which is interesting in UP is that Mr. Yogi, our Honorable Chief Minister, he has successfully strengthened our infrastructure. Now it is very easy to travel in UP. When we were students, I remember traveling 100 kilometers from Prayag to my own native district, Azamgarh. It used to take full day, 120 kilometers. Now we have a network of expressways, we have a network of good roads, and the thing, interesting industrial point of view, the thing which is going to take place is we have planned to set up industrial corridors along those expressways. So you can identify your space as to which expressway, which it could be Purvanchal Expressway, it could be Bundelkhand Expressway. Put up your units, bring your partners and friends to put up their units from foreign countries, from other states. All that is possible. The third interesting thing is taking place, is that there are many untapped or unexplored sectors which are actually very interesting, but no one had paid attention on them. This includes renewable energy also. Lot of good solar radiation is available in Bundelkhand area of UP. Also in certain parts of eastern UP, for example, Mirzapur, lot of good solar radiation is there. We are committed to facilitate those solar energy projects. We have come up with a solar policy as well, and also biofuel projects, they are also possible. So these were very unexplored sectors. Now, as minister and as government, we are trying to promote them. For the first time in UP, we have put focus on the solar energy. We have been actually lagging behind in the sense of the national performance, but now we have decided to catch up. We are setting up green corridors also to evacuate that power from areas like Bundelkhand and Mirzapur. We have also put up in our policy very innovative projects like energy storage projects. You store water and then you storage projects, battery storage, all that we have put up in our policy. So this was an unexplored area which is now coming on our radar for being exploration, for being explored and for being developed. Last thing I would like to add is that many of our districts, they are very rich with our traditional skills, with our traditional products, what we call ODOP. That is another big contribution of Honorable Chief Minister Yogi ji in terms of economic contribution. One district, one product. You know that many districts of UP, I can very easily count at least 12 products. Muradabad, brass works, Aligarh, lock works, Firozabad, glass works, Varanasi, silk works. Many of these projects, they are globally recognized and globally respected, globally honored products. But there, what has unfortunately happened, that we have unfortunately not sharpened the skills which those traditional people had. Had we sharpened those skills, had we given them better machines, had we treated their waste with more efficiency, they could have perhaps done better in the global market. So many of you can look at those items as well. Those who are interested in looking at those things, you can contribute, you can make your own business out of that, you can put up your own business out of that, but at least you can facilitate those people earning better. Last thing, with all your support, as I said, we are very committed to make UP industrialize. UP has been an agrarian, basically a society, agrarian state. It was also a rural oriented state. We are trying to fasten the pace of urbanization. We are trying to fasten the pace of industrialization and all possible fronts, even the startups. We are very committed and keen to encourage the startups also in various fields, in various sectors. So you are most welcome to UP. Look at the potentials, look at the sectors here, and more so, please convey this message, please convey, be our ambassador, be the ambassador of a UP which has changed. It is not the same UP which you might have heard 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back. It has changed and it is changing very fast. And this is the emerging place. This is the happening place in India. This is the time to be in UP also, because otherwise UP will get crowded. Again, investments. You will not find space, as I was saying, what has happened in Southeast Asia. So this is the transition phase. Take your space, put up your industry, put up your unit in this sector or that sector. All sectors are promising. All sectors have big consumer markets. You can find labor and skilled hands for all possible sectors. I wish you all the best. I'm very thankful that CII invited me this morning to talk to you. And as was said, I fully remember that, in fact, CII has been my teacher in a way. I didn't know any ABCD of industry. When we started the Vibrant Gujarat event in 2001 and 2, I had just come from my field postings of district magistrate, sub-divisional magistrate, rural postings, and then government put me suddenly first in finance department and then industry department. I didn't know anything about industry, but it was CII, and I must say it was also FICCI, with whom I worked very closely during those days, and then Vibrant Gujarat became a global brand. And in fact, that event is the mother of all such events which are taking place in the entire country. So I wish CII also very well and wish you all good luck. And thank you very much for inviting me and listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking us towards the great, rich history of our country and also enlightening us about the 17th century when a famous British economist quoted that India is a contributor of 25% of the entire business of the world. Also, thank you, sir, for giving us a reason to believe, as what you said, believe in the past, believe in the present, to have a safe future. And also, I very firmly take your point of being ambassador of our state of Uttar Pradesh, being the ambassador of our country, and also passing this message very strongly to all the people amongst us of not settling in abroad, in fact, come back to India, because India is poised for growth. Sir, we started our journey this year in the state of Uttar Pradesh by one line of translating intent into action, and CII Uttar Pradesh has been lucky to have the patronage of our Honorable Mr. A.K. Sharma ji, Mr. Durga Shankar Mishra ji, in all of our CII events. Sir, I would just like to say that if we look at Uttar Pradesh in the map of our country, and if we treat the map as I would say, a human being, so Uttar Pradesh की जो जगह है उस map में, it is where the heart is in a human body. So I would say, sir, in few past years, there were some blockages in the arteries, but with your great leadership, with our honorable chief ministers, sir, आपने उन arteries में जो stunts डाले हैं in the form of airports, in the form of investor summits, in the form of expressways, I'm sure now India has a healthy heart and we can run marathons of 42 kilometers at full speed, sir. I would once again like to extend my heartful gratitude to Honorable Minister, sir, for gracing this occasion and sharing his perspectives. I also thank Chief Secretary, sir, for joining us today and for his insights into the roadmap for $1 trillion economy for the state. My sincere thanks to Mr. Madhav Singh Hania ji, Deputy Chairman, CII Northern Region, and Joint Managing Director, JK Cement Limited, for his constant support and guidance that has been invaluable in making this interaction a success. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Prashant for gracing this occasion all the way from Chandigarh. All the fellow CII members, non-members, everybody coming from all over the state, I thank all of you. This event has been extremely successful because it not only has participants only from the cities of Lucknow and Kanpur, but today we have participants from all over the state and country. I also thank all the media personals here present, and we eagerly look forward to more such opportunities in the future where our knowledge and strength, along with the government's vision, can work together towards the prosperity and progress of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you, everybody.